As always, here's a warning. Tonight I'm going over the second prosecution witness and the first defense witness. Surprise, surprise, I filmed this before I filmed this. In regards to Trash's bond hearing, I'm also being interrupted by a thunderstorm and I yell at it several times. I also mentioned Duggar payroll probably a million times. But I just wanted to put a trigger warning out there. This isn't as awful as the first part of the series. We haven't gotten into anything else yet that's pretty bad, but I am going to put a trigger warning out there because I want to respect the viewers, you guys, the family, the new family members, the people who see this if it makes the For You page. There is talks of CP, there's talks of SA, there's talks of child abuse, and I just want everyone to be warned before they watch it. If that is something that you don't want to watch, I fully respect your decision. It's a hard topic. Let's continue on with the bond hearing series. So tonight I'm going to go over the prosecution's second witness from Trash's arrest. And as always, shout out to Nuggets of Chicken for going over this entire bond hearing and summarizing it for all of us snarkers. So this is the prosecution's second witness, direct DM Wen. I read it's either Wen or Win. I'm not trying to botch a name here. So, this officer has been a probation officer for 17 years. Factors considered in determining whether someone should be released: natures and circumstances of the case, defendant's criminal history, place of employment, and residence situation. Presumption cases are cases where an individual is presumed to be detained and the burden is on the defendant to demonstrate that they should be released. A third-party custodian is someone who vouches for the defendant in federal court while their case is pending. They are basically in charge of the defendant if the defendant is released from custody and ensures that they will follow all the conditions placed by the court. Babysitters. Mr. LeCount Rever, but it's Reber or Reber. I heard it was Reber, whatever. And Miss Maria Reber, I'm going with Reber, are the proposed third parties in this case. Mr. Rever works outside of the home in a full-time capacity at the VA. Mr. Rever is a pastor and volunteers with jail ministry. Duggar payroll. Mrs. Rever is a full-time homemaker. You won't be able to see it at the bottom, but it says Miss Rever was concerned regarding being left alone with Duggar as she was a female and he was a male. And at the way bottom it says, no, Miss Wen is not a good witness. So this is a concern. Minors will be coming into the Reber's residence for piano lessons where Duggar would be. Her daughter, Hannah, teaches piano lessons. The same one that is now dating David Keller. Miss Reber is close friends with Trash's parents and they attended the same church at one point. She feels that her and her husband should help his parents and Trash. Again, Duggar payroll. Miss Reber said she's a lot closer to Trash's parents than to Trash himself. Trash's parents reached out to the Rebers for their assistance. Do I need to say it again? Duggar payroll. This is all Duggar payroll. Excuse me, Mother Nature, I'm filming. Ma'am, I'm gonna have to ask you to please relax. I am in the middle of filming. It's the fucking audacity for me. Miss Reber said she was familiar with the charges in question, but she did not know the details of them. Both Mr. and Mrs. Reber had concealed carry licenses and had 3 rifles and 6 pistols at their residence. When asked if they had a gun safe to keep access away from Trash, and Miss Reber said they would lock up the guns in the master bedroom closet. In my opinion, there shouldn't be firearms in that household alone if Trash is going to be there, but I'm not an officer. Miss Reber did not have a plan for what to do with the minors coming to the house, but said that they would always be accompanied by another adult. Duggar would be staying at a side bedroom that locks from the inside, so Duggar couldn't lock it himself, but he could exit the bedroom from an exterior door. Okay. One thinks the Rebers could be suitable third-party custodians. However, the minors coming to the home, as well as the firearms, causes the probation office some concern. There is internet at the residence, but it is password protected. If he can get onto the dark web by splitting his hard drive with a Linux, I have been told it's called a Linux, he's going to figure out that password in about 3.2 seconds. So during the interview, Trash was asked whether he was suffering from any addictions. He said no. Don't fucking lie in court. Wynn found a statement from Trash in 2015 where he admitted to a pee addiction but did not ask him about it. There's lightning, ladies and gentlemen. There's lightning. AUSA asks about the M from Trash when he was younger. D objects, claiming these records are sealed and leaked from tabloids and deals with his conduct as a child. Judge overrules. The judge explains that she is concerned about the safety of the community, as I am. If the previous really? You fucking shit. Just having all the technical difficulties tonight, but I know you guys live for it. If the previous M issues had been handled in juvenile court, it would have been sealed, but Duggar and his family have chosen to be public about these activities and admissions, and they're not too far in the past to still be relevant. Minors were 11, 10, 9, and 5 at the time of the incident, and Trash was 14. Wynn recommends that Trash be detained and the presumption apply. Even if the rubbers were suitable third-party custodians, it wouldn't mitigate the risk to the community. Mitigate? Y'all are going to help me out, but I don't know what CX means. Basically, from what I'm getting is that, like, Wikipedia says Constitution. The Rubbers have no criminal history. No minors reside at the Rubber home. Rubber said that they would do whatever they needed to do to be Trash's third-party custodians. If the firearms were removed from the house and if the piano lessons could be moved, would that be a suitable third-party residence? Quite possibly. His attorney looks forlorn. Another thing that they argued is that in the 17 months that Trash has been aware of the investigation, he has not left the country. The redirect of the probation officer is that they reiterated that essay of minors from years ago. It says the recross of the probation officer and that Nuggets of Chicken missed this because she was taking her dog out to pee, but that she caught the bit, and it sounds like they were emphasizing that the probation office had the authority to detain Josh if he violates any of the release condition. And then the prosecution rested its case. I'm feeling in a good mood. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to move on to defense witness number 1. Surprise, shawty. Okay, so here's the defense's first witness. Edit. It's Rubber, not Reaver. Reber, not Rever. I am just reading this as it is. Defense's first witness, Maria Rubber. She's Asian. Didn't expect that. Which, whatever. Go off and be Asian. I support you. I love the Asian. Are you aware of some of the charges brought against Trash Duggar? Some. Aware that there are 2 charges, no criminal history, has a place where Trash can live, lives in Washington County, has a mother-in-law kind of suite in her home that Trash should live in, would be willing to abide by any conditions given by the court. Not on that fucking payroll. You want a new porch? Sure, but you gotta make sure that he stays out of jail. Would report any broken conditions to the court. Defense attorney Travis Story is not as good as Gelfand, lots of stumbling, unclear in his wording. The reason my summary of this testimony is so choppy is because of that's how it's being presented. Rubber giving pretty much just one-word answer. Their adult daughter teaches piano at the Rubber home. A few minors come over for piano lessons. The location of the piano lessons could be moved to a different place and has a place to move the firearms if need be. Sure, let's inconvenience our daughter for a pedo. Great. Mr. Rubber leaves for work at 6:30 a.m. and gets home at 4 p.m. Miss Rubber and her daughter would be alone at home with Trash. The daughter would come and go throughout the day, possibly leaving Miss Rubber home alone with Trash. Miss Rubber would be okay alone with Trash. Wants to be the third-party custodian to help the family and to minister them. Story just says, that's admirable. And I laughed, bro. You're not the one testifying here. I would have fucking laughed too. In fact, I am laughing. Miss Rubber is willing to serve as a third-party custodian regardless of whatever rules the court chooses to impose. Again, Wikipedia said CX's Constitution of Miss Rubber. Please correct me if I'm wrong. I'm really trying to learn here. The Rubbers have neighbors, but each of them have about 5 to 10 acres of land, so they're pretty spread out. Known the Duggar family for 5 to 6 years, from time to time would interact with Trash. They have been inside the Duggar home and been to a couple of weddings. She's never had a one-on-one conversation with Trash. She's never been alone with Trash. Attended church with them in 2015 when the SA allegations first came out, but wasn't fully aware of them and is fully aware now. Excuse me, ma'am, can you fucking move it? I'm trying to film here without your attitude. You can't read it because it's at the bottom and the hashtags will cover it, but the AUSA asks, can you tell me what you know about the allegations? Reber pauses, is silent, and then says, give me a minute. Story objects, judge overrules. She says, I don't fully know everything, but from my understanding, there was some, when he was younger, I'm not sure how old, maybe a teenager, that there was inappropriate touching of some of the minors. Was not aware that one of the minors was 5 years old. Does knowing that there was a 5-year-old involved change your decision to serve as a third-party custodian? I'm looking at it as we are here to be as a help to the family, to Trash and Anna, to minister them. JB called her husband and asked him to be the third-party custodian because her husband and JB are good friends. For the millionth time, Duggar payroll, Duggar payroll, Duggar payroll. He's fucking paying them. Did you feel any pressure or obligation to serve as a third-party custodian? My husband has made the decision, and I'm here to support that decision. Tell me you're uncomfortable with it without telling me you're uncomfortable with it. More talk about ministry and serving others. If the conditions were violated, she would alert the court before notifying her husband, would not leave her adult daughter alone with trash. We don't have internet. Our internet is in our phone. It's like a hotspot. There's no Wi-Fi. We don't have cable. There is no hard wiring. Side note, what the fuck? It's 2021. Phones are password protected. That's irrelevant. Understands that if trash is released to her home, he could be there for 6 months. We now know that it will be 6 months. Will it be 6 months? June, July, August, September, October, November. 6 months. Interesting. Redirect of Maria Reber reiterates that she would alert the court directly if the conditions were violated. Bullshit. Questions from the judge. First call if the conditions were violated would be to the U.S. Probation Office, not your husband, not J.B. Duggar, not elders in the church. Oh. Daughter has been spoken to regarding relocation of the piano lessons, and this case has gotten a lot of publicity, and the last thing Trash Duggar needs is an incident with a firearm. Reber said she'd remove the firearm. So basically what you're telling me is that she's not comfortable with it, but because her husband said, you have to do it, she said, yes, sir. So that's 2 parts to this. Tomorrow I'll go over the defense witness number 2. There's my cheat sheet. We'll go over defense second witness, closing arguments, and judge's decision to close out this series. We'll also do some book club tomorrow, I've decided. I kind of want to get into chapter 8, so see you later, bye.